Hi, I get a bunch of questions about the music setup I use for my Synth Jam videos, so here's a quick overview. When I learned to play the guitar, I loved that I could just pick it up whenever I wanted and start playing immediately. So when I planned my electronic music setup, this was one of my main goals. Also, I didn't want to sit in front of a computer screen and use a mouse and keyboard to create music. I found that I could be a lot more spontaneous and expressive with dedicated devices and real knobs and buttons. Having said that, I do want to start off with a computer, because even though it's hardly shown in the videos, I do use it as my main sequencer. I'm running Ableton Live for this because it has a clip matrix which lets me record and play back various MIDI patterns for each of my instruments independently. Of course, as we all know, MIDI data contains no audio, but just control data that lets music hardware play and talk to each other. I've got my computer hooked up to the Akai MPC 20 Ableton controller, which gives me dedicated buttons for the clip matrix and some other features in Ableton. Then I also have a small USB MIDI keyboard and a USB MIDI interface. The interface has 4 inputs and outputs, to which I connect all my instruments. Since there are more than 4 instruments, I sometimes use the MIDI through port to daisy chain a bunch of devices. The MIDI through port just forwards the incoming MIDI data out of the machine unchanged. Now that most of the instruments can be controlled via MIDI, I run their audio outputs into a mixer and from there back into my computer, where I can record it. I also get a metronome click track in Ableton, which I can play in my headphones independent of the music recording. So this is basically the round trip from my computer to my instruments and back again to the computer. Now let's have a look at the Ableton setup. In the clip matrix, I've got a vertical track for each instrument, which is also mapped to the APC20 controller. I can route my USB MIDI keyboard to each of the instruments and record the notes I'm playing into a clip. So if I wanted to play the Nanotzwerg, I can activate the keyboard for it, press the clip I want to record into, and then just go. Pressing the clip button again stops the recording and loops the clip indefinitely. This can of course be quantized and set up differently. Next, let's record a beat with the MFB 522 drum machine. It could use some hi-hats, which I'll quickly overdub into the same clip. Recording several clips for each instrument lets you mix and match the patterns in real time. You can see I don't have to look at the computer or touch the mouse to record and play back clips. As you remember, all I record into the clips is control data and no audio. This means I can alter the MIDI notes after recording them, which is good for fixing small mistakes without having to record the whole pattern again. This also means that I can still tweak my instrument's sound, since all that's being sent and recorded is note data. Okay, lastly, let's have a quick look under the table. Here I have all the power adapters, labeled of course, and connected to a power switch. Back on the table I set up Ableton's default project with all the instruments and MIDI connections. This means that all I have to do to start playing is flip the power switch and start Ableton. Almost as simple as picking up a guitar. I hope this video gave you a good overview of my MIDI stuff and helps you to create your own setup and workflow for making electronic music. If you have any questions or comments, write them below or send me a message. Thanks a lot for watching.